$126 million of the $1.2 billion loan contracted by the previous administration, for which the road fund was used as collateral. It is important to note that all these debts were accrued under the previous administration. I will also point out that much of the statutory arrears that we met have been cleared. That is, debts to the NHIS, the District Assembly Common Fund, and the GET Fund. I might also point out that the salary arrears that were paid to our teachers last week were accrued from 2013 to 2016. The regimen we have in place now is to pay government bills as they come due and not accrue arrears. We are resisting the temptation to award contracts when funds are not available to pay for the certificates as they come up. Those who conduct business with government will find that things are being done differently. We've had to subject 8 billion CDs of arrears bequeathed to us at the beginning of 2017 to a process of audit, review, and validation. The audit service has certified payments to the tune of 5.5 billion CDs and rejected about 5.7 billion CDs, representing a potential savings of 51% on these outstanding commitments. This shows the validity of our criticism that so much of contracts awarded in the Mahama era were inflated and apparently in some cases non-existent. I have promised to protect the public purse, and I'm doing just that. Those who have done honest work and at honest rates for the government will get paid, and paid on time, so their profits do not get swallowed up in bank interest and thereby threaten the collapse of their businesses. Ladies and gentlemen, clearing up the mess we met is only a small part of the task we face. We're creating the atmosphere for the private sector to grow quickly and to encourage our young people to look for opportunities in areas other than the public sector. The solution to the unemployment crisis lies with small and medium-sized enterprises that employ 3, 7, 15, and 50 people, and also with large-scale industrial enterprises that employ 50 people in their hundreds and thousands. We're concentrating our efforts to grow the SME sector. Under the National Entrepreneurship and Innovation Plan, with a seed of fund of $10 billion, 5 modules are being implemented, targeted at helping young people who want to set up businesses. It is no secret that our private sector often lacks the expertise that would enable it to operate competitively. Practical help is being offered to SMCs by way of advisory services, access to finance, and access to market. We've set ourselves 5 main priority areas which we believe should rapidly transform our country and its economy: agriculture, energy, industry, education, and health. Reports indicate that the Planting for Food and Jobs campaign, which registered over 200,000 farmers in the 2017 crop season, has been a big success. I'm particularly excited about the institutional sub-programs where 20 senior technical high schools, National Service Scheme, and the prison services were supported to cultivate their own farms. Under the Youth in Agriculture program of Planting for Food and Jobs, 10,000 youth were supported to cultivate 800 hectares and 10,320 hectares of rice and maize, respectively. Under the campaign, average yields of maize and rice have increased, and our warehouses are filling up. Whilst the full picture of this success is yet to emerge, it is noteworthy that many farmers have expressed their satisfaction that for the first time in a long while, a deliberate government policy has helped to boost their harvest. We are doing things differently, and we're getting results. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want anybody to get the idea that doing things differently is easy or popular, nor always get immediate results. We inherited a situation where illegal mining or galamsey had become a serious menace to the very existence of our country. Our forests and water bodies had become degraded, and the health of those engaged in the activity in their communities were all at risk. Let me state here again my gratitude to the media for the support they're giving in the campaign we're undertaking against galamsey. This is not a short-term campaign, and we need everybody's support to make a success of it. As I've said a few times, since the Almighty blessed us with precious minerals, there has always been and will always be mining in our country. We are not against mining, but we cannot accept mining in a manner that risks destroying our country. The reforestation program that we have started should help to regenerate our forest cover and water bodies, and hopefully provide an attractive alternative employment to galamsey. On this subject, all of us, and not just government, have to do things differently. In the energy sector, we brought stability in the place of the erratic power situation that we inherited, which we all called DUMSO. Adequate power supply is critical to the operation and success of industry, especially small and medium-scale enterprises, which provide the bulk of employment. Not only is regular supply important, but competitive rates of power are equally important. Tariff rates for non-residential users of electricity, which embrace most SMCs, have been reduced by an average of 14% to boost their competitiveness. Furthermore, an industrial development tariff has been approved for industry to enhance its competitiveness. A new rate of $6.50 per million British thermal units, MMBTU, as against the previous rate of $8.84 per million British thermal units, has been established a 26.5% reduction. In addition, a review of 24 power purchase agreements, which has led to the termination of 11 power deals and the rescheduling of 8 others, has enabled us to save the government treasury about $7 billion in excess capacity charges over a 13-year contract period. We also issued 7-year and 10-year CD-denominated bonds, totaling 4.7 billion CDs, which have halved the 2.4 billion energy debt we inherited and have helped improve the liquidity of the banks and the balance sheets of the SOEs in the energy sector. This year, we will consolidate these gains and ensure the flow of regular, affordable power to support the economic development of our country. Efficient management will always yield positive results. On the first working day of this year, I signed into law the 3 Development Authority bills and the Zongo Development Fund. Once the Zongo Development Fund and these development authorities are put into place, and this is imminent, we shall see an acceleration in the pace of developmental activity and the provision of essential social services to communities around our country in a manner that answers to the real needs of the people. Work on the creation of new regions is progressing, And the constitutionally sanctioned Commission of Inquiry, under the chairmanship of a respected retired senior judge, Mr. Justice S.A. Broby, has started the public hearings. I encourage all to bring their ideas to enrich the process. Some 38 new districts have been created, and with it, the inevitable arguments about where the capitals should be sited. I'm hopeful that things will settle down quickly and attention given to the exciting development opportunities that are coming with the new arrangements. Work is also progressing to make a reality of our manifesto promise that we will elect district, municipal, and metropolitan chief executives. Having signed on January 2nd the Act for the Establishment of the Special Prosecutor, Act 959, I have appointed Mr. Martin Amidou as the first person to hold that position. I'm well aware of the general sense of anxiety in the country and the strong feeling that politicians tend to get away with corrupt practices. A significant choice, though that Mr. Amidou is, I do not expect that he will provide all the answers will deal with the phenomenon of corruption by public officials. But I do believe that at the least, the office will remove the fear of partisan prosecution and begin to put the fear of God in all public officials who are intending to go down the path of corruption. Just in case it needs reiterating, let me state again that current office holders are as likely to be investigated and prosecuted by the special prosecutor if a case is made out against them as past office holders. At all times, the rule of law must be adhered to. This leads me to how we are dealing with allegations of corruption against current appointees. I've made it publicly known that anyone who has information about acts of corruption against any of my appointees should bring it forward and should be prepared to back it up with evidence. So far, every single act of alleged corruption labeled against any member of my administration has been or is in the process of being investigated by independent bodies, and the findings so far made public. From the allegations against the Minister for Energy designate at his parliamentary confirmation hearings, to that against the CEO of BOST, to those against the two deputy chiefs of staff, to the claims of extortion against the trade minister, and to those against the Minister for Special Development Initiatives, they have all been investigated, and no evidence has been adduced to suggest mildly the perpetration of any act of corruption. However, some people appear determined to stick to their politically motivated view that there has been corruption. This surely is not a helpful practice. It is important to note that in this, my first year of office, two separate bipartisan probes in Parliament have been established to inquire into allegations of corruption as against zero in the Mahama years, despite the persistent calls by the then minority. I have a greater interest in my appointees not being corrupt than any critic could possibly have. Try me. Produce the evidence to back the allegation and see what the reaction will be. But I think it is also worth pointing out that we should be careful about the new trend that appears to be emerging, whereby any allegation, no matter how spurious, quickly gains the character of, quote, a scandal or, quote, an act of corruption, even when it is shot down. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I should not omit from this accounting the disgraceful behavior of some members of my party, the New Patriotic Party, which has become known as vigilantism. I believe there is no longer any argument that criminal behavior wears no political colors and is solely to be dealt with by the police. I pray that we have seen the last of it. We're continuously working to ensure that it does not recur, that we uphold the rule of law. Members of the media, free senior high school is now a reality. The first batch of students to be enrolled under the scheme has finished one term and gone back to school after the Christmas break. If it has taken the introduction of free SHS to encourage media and other commentators to find the many problems that bedevil our schools, I simply take it as one more reason to cheer the free SHS. We shall work systematically to solve the problems, not just of the senior high schools, but from the kindergartens to the junior high schools as well. We shall put greater emphasis on technical, agricultural, and vocational training and skills training in general. We have no choice but to educate and train our workforce to match the needs of the modern economy of the 21st century. This is only possible if we prioritize and accelerate the development and application of science, technology, and innovation, and also develop the capacity to design and manufacture machines, parts, and tools for ourselves. The two ministries of education and environment, science, technology, and innovation are working together to step up the development and application of appropriate technologies to solve the variety of problems that confront us at this stage of our country's development. This is to be supported with a national strategy to promote science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM education throughout our educational system and stimulate the interest of our pupils and students, especially girls, in science, technology, and innovation. I'm still working to achieve gender parity, or at least reach the percentage promised in the MPP manifesto. In the meantime, I wish to encourage all to support the He for She campaign to help us achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 5. After a year in office, it would be fair to ask what frustrations and regrets, if any, that I have. My answer would be, I wish we had been able to do certain things much faster and the entire government machinery move more quickly, because as I said, I'm in a hurry. For those who continue to be obsessed by the size of my government, let me, with due deference to the chairperson of the economic management team, my brilliant vice president, cite from his speech 2 days ago at Lagos at the opening of the New Year's school. And I quote, "The question that we should ask is how can you inherit a budget deficit of 9.3% of GDP, proceed to reduce taxes, bring down inflation, bring down interest rates, increase economic growth from 3.6% to 7.9%, increase your international reserves, maintain relative exchange rate stability, reduce the debt to GDP ratio and the rate of debt accumulation, pay almost half of arrears inherited, stay current on obligations to statutory funds, restore teacher and nursing training allowances, double the capitation grant, implement free senior high school education, and yet still be able to reduce the fiscal deficit from 9.3% to an estimated 5.6% of GDP. Quite simple. This is a remarkable achievement And this is what we mean by competent economic management, unquote. It is that competence, coupled with integrity in the conduct of public transactions, ensuring value for money, protecting the public purse, that are going to bring the dream of a happy and prosperous Ghana, and Ghana beyond aid, quickly within our grasp. Thank you all for coming, and may God continue to bless us in our homeland Ghana and make her great and strong.
Thank you very much, President of the Republic of Ghana. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as I have said, we are not going to waste any more time. The President has to go to attend to other businesses of state. And so I'm going to set the rules and then go straight to allow you to ask your questions, if any. I can't impose questions of you. I'll be happy if you said no questions. In answer to your criticisms of last July, as I said, we've brought journalists from across our regions. And so I am going to do a balance between the majority of you based in Accra and those from the region, so we can allow people who have traveled from Sunyani, Takoradi to also have an opportunity. I'm going to be fair to the gender representation and allow for as many as men as women to ask questions. I'm also going to be fair to media houses that are not in, if you want, corporate networks. So if we have multimedia, we have EIB network, Ken City, etc., etc. We will not want, say, 5 or 6 journalists from the same multimedia company to ask questions. Because the other time, that also was our criticism, that at the end of the day, on a balance sheet, the majority who asked questions last time were from multimedia and EIB. We are going to answer to that criticism today. So please be sure that we are going to be fair. So now we are ready to ask the questions. You can show by hands, and then and the last point is that please ask one question at a time. One question at a time. Okay, I can see, I'll start from the regions. I can see Osagefo FM have their hands up. Osagefo FM, Mr. President, is from Mankesim. Mankesim, Osagefo FM.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Mr. President. Please, my name is Eduje Mfimafo from Osagefo FM, Mankesim. Sir, my question has to do with the galamsey or small-scale mining, as you were talking of. If you come to, especially the northern part of Central Region, Diaso, Dunkaofen, among other places, what majority of the youth there engage in is the small-scale mining. Now, the ban on that activity has been in existence close to a year now. We are hearing that this particular month, January, you are going to lift the ban. I would like to ask Your Excellency that indeed, is that decision still holding, or we have something otherwise? And then, when you come to Mankesim, the Omahini of Mankesim traditional area has even met you and then told you that they will be very happy if Mankesim could be used as the hub of vegetables in Ghana, since he has a vast land to give for that production, so that the youth there will also have some job to do with regards to planting for food and jobs. Mr. President, what are you doing to that? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Osagefo, thank you. The lifting of the ban. Next week, the that advises me and works with me is going to meet to review where we are and decide what, when and if the time is ready for lifting of the ban. So a decision will not be ready until after that meeting of cabinet next week. But let me say a few words of my own, and this are my own personal views. I'm not committing my advisors. Which is that I believe that the fight against the Galamsey is by no means won. We still have a long way to go in putting in place the structures in terms of the training that is undergoing of small-scale miners, the Shafim and the excavator owners who continue to operate in the fight against them. All those are measures that we need to advance and intensify before we can say to ourselves that yes, we believe that substantially we have won this fight and that therefore the time has come for us to lift it. I'm saying this because at the same time, some of the outcome of the Galamsey menace in our country perhaps are not sufficiently addressed or articulated. The senior minister recently went on business, official business to Dubai, and there was met with the gleeful story that, oh, you people are doing very well. Why? Last year we recorded $7 billion worth of gold imports from Ghana, when the official records are talking about $2 billion. Yes, these are the facts. So that is telling you that apart from the harm that this activity is doing to our country, much of the value that our nation should derive from these activities are also being criminally disposed of. So I'm aware that there are very large issues involved, employment for those who are engaged in it. All of these things are very much on the radar, and part of the policies that we're trying to roll out. But I think that we should all really be very clear that this is one fight that we cannot go and withdraw from, that we need to prosecute it until we can see an appreciable transformation of our countryside, the state of our water bodies, and the quality of the forest that we have. But all of this is to say that the decision yet still has to be made. Yeah. As far as the vegetable, Bakasim as a vegetable hub, I think that Usofri Kutu, the author of Planting for Food and Jobs, I don't know whether you have a comment to make about this matter. If you do, please let them hear you.
Mr. President, the chief of Mankasim has nothing to worry about. We are rolling out Planting for Food and Jobs 2018 with 500,000 farmers from 200,000. So there's plenty of room to accommodate his youth. And not only that, he should be in touch with the District Director of Agriculture. We are doing a preliminary registration of farmers. He should take full advantage, and I'm using this opportunity to invite all traditional rulers to get themselves involved in getting their youth into Planting for Food and Jobs. Thank you.
Mr. President, with the greatest respect, I would love you to sit down so that this time we take 3 questions so you don't have
I guess this time.
You're fine. Thank you very much. So this time I am coming to Accra and I will take a woman from Accra. So women from Accra, show by hands, and then I will take you. And then you mention, if I don't know you by name, you mention your name and your radio station. or newspaper, whatever media.
My name is Sadia and I represent Pan-African Television. My question to you, Your Excellency, after your famous homosexual interview on Al Jazeera, a lot of such persons have surfaced in the media. Now, my question to you is that was it a conspiracy theory to call for such persons to collate for an onward passage of a legal instrument to back the act? That is my question. Thank you.
Okay. Now, we would go outside the region again and take a mail. Okay. Prince Obin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr. President. I'm Prince Godfred Obin from ARC FM, Sunyani, in the Brong Ahafo region. And my question has to do with the area of agriculture. And I remember when you were giving your address, you made us understand that you have 5 cardinal areas that will help your administration to really develop Ghana. And I think agriculture is one of them. And we know Brong Ahafo is a place where, when it comes to cashew cultivation, we really do that. When you go to your 2016 manifesto highlight, page 17, under the heading Agriculture and Rural Development, you make mention that there will be that kind of cashew marketing authority establishment that will see to the cashew production and the marketing. In fact, when you were talking about issues concerning agriculture, that place was silent, and the people of Brong Ahafo want to know what your government is really doing about that cashew issue. And then also, when you look at areas like German North and South, where the cashew production is going on well, you realize that they have a lot of bad roads. So that can be, in my view, an impediment to whatever your government want to do to help cashew farmers. So we have had something like cocoa roast in Ghana before. Is there any way we can have cashew roast also in Ghana so that our people will benefit? And lastly, Mr. President, there is this school of thought that believe that incumbency is disadvantaged. And I want to have your view on that. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please, with the greatest of respect, after this, I would stick to the rules. I beg you. So help me to help you. One question at a time. And avoid long preambles, because, as I said, the president has to go off to attend other business.
These are 3 questions, so let me deal with
them. Well, it's true, and that makes it.
For the launch of the Pan-African TV. First of all, Pan-African TV. I'm not involved in conspiracies. I'm not part of any conspiracy to promote anything. I think that these are matters in the public domain, and people are entitled to agitate as they wish. I hear the other day the Peace Council also came up, but I'm not part, and there's no concerted, synchronized, certainly attempt on my part to promote the advocacy of it. Cashew development. I think it's extremely important, not just for the economy of Brong Ahafo, but for the economy of Ghana, that we get on the bandwagon of developing this industry. There's a lot of money involved for producers, for the marketers, for the distributors, and also for those who will also do the processing and conversion of the nut. And I believe that I am due to go to Wenchi on the 24th of January to launch the cashew development plan. Somebody's shaking their head there who I think you know about it. Yes, I'm due to go to Wenchi on the 24th of January, or February. February, to launch the entire development plan that we're proposing for the industry and for the country. And I have no doubt that in that plan, when it is unveiled, issues of infrastructure, the nature of government support for the industry, all of that is going to be put on the table. So, I mean, rest assured that this is something that is very, very, it's important. I mean, when you look next door to us, Côte d'Ivoire, the kinds of monies that they're making from this industry, and we are as capable as them of developing this industry. So yes, a full-scale development plan is in the offing, and very soon, in the next month, that one is going to be outdoored for the country to see all the various elements of the policy and the support that we will. I don't know. I like the concept of cashew roads. I don't know whether that is that is being something that is being proposed, but you will see fully what is being proposed. And I think that any serious policy has to address issues of infrastructure. As far as the issue of incumbency is concerned, I think incumbency should never be an advantage in any proper functioning democracy, because the process should be sufficiently transparent that the voice of the people at any one stage will get through. It cannot, because if incumbency and advantage is an advantage, then it means that somehow or other the electoral playing field is being distorted or engineered to favor incumbency. That should never be the case. The only advantage that you can have if you're in government is the quality of your performance. That is what you should be measured by, the quality of your performance. If the performance is good and the people feel that it is worth endorsing for another round, they will do so. If they feel that the performance is poor and it is not worth endorsing, they will, as it were, distone you. So there should be no issue that incumbency is an advantage. Incumbency can only be an advantage in a situation whereby it means that some distortion, some unfair, some untoward advantage is being gained by the fact that you are in office and that you are in government. In any decent, well-organized democracy, that should never be the case. And for myself, I don't have any difficulty facing the Ghanaian people. I've been trying to do so all my life, with various degrees of success, but I don't have any difficulty, and especially the opportunity that has been given to me to serve them in this capacity. If at the end of the day the NPP decides they want to renew my flag bearership and to go to the country, I will do so, and I'll do so with a great deal of confidence that I have something correct to report to our people, which should elicit their support. But I don't think that incumbency should be an advantage. And I think people who think that somehow or rather incumbency is an advantage are those who are really not in support of the democratic development that we are all seeking.
All right. The next three, Kojo Yankson, Joy FM.
I've just been informed that the Wenchi message is 20th of February, not 24th, 20th of February. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. I thought I'd use this opportunity to ask a question that one of my listeners sent to me. They can't be here, so I'd best represent them as well as I can. And I quote.
So you don't have a question of your own, you're just... So you have to choose whether your listener's question or your own.
I'll be honest.
You will not be two.
I'll be honest. I have many questions for you, Mr. President.
So
but I choose to ask the question of my listener.
That's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine.
Thank you. And I quote: "Could you please ask the president this? When he formed his government, he said he needed 110 ministers to run the country. 1 year on, does he still think 110 is the magic number? or is he finally ready to trim the fat? That's from Joe Pono of Nsawam.
All right. Next one. Countryman Songo.
More fire. With all due respect, very professional fire. Three questions, but
Hey,
it's in one. No problem. More fire. Mr. President, are you interested in 2014 World Cup Commission of Inquiry report? The white paper.
What?
The 2014 World Cup. That is the Commission of Inquiry white paper, the report. Mr. President, please, are you interested? Because we've heard nothing at all from your minister and yourself. More fire. Mr. President.
last.
Yeah.
No, that's
No,
all.
it's 3-1. So let me just begin. No, this is the question. Then also, do you have the courage to move for change within FA leadership in the face of gross mismanagement of the national team and the Ghana Premier League? Are you satisfied with the output of your sports minister after 1 year, Mr. President? More fire.
Okay, we'll take the third and the last one. I'll take a woman, Nana Addo.
Mr. President, my question is, something unprecedented happened in Ghana here. That is during your first year. That is the coming in of visitors, mostly presidents. Classical example was the Emir of Qatar, President Macron, and all those people coming in. In your view, Mr. President, what do you think accounted for their interest in coming into Ghana, especially in your first year?
Mr. President.
The answer about the 110 is the same as I gave at the beginning. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. Let us see the performance of the government. So far, I believe the government is performing well. That's my assessment. You may have a different assessment, but that is my assessment, and that is the justification for the numbers that there are. They were brought in to do a job, not just to fill offices, and I believe that they are doing a good job. So that's my response. Am I interested in the 2014 white paper? I think that on these matters, truth is usually the best answer. To be honest, I have forgotten about the 2014 white paper, but I have no doubt that my Minister of Sports is fully up to it and will advise in due course what should be the reaction of me and the government to it. But it has not been something that has been very much on my radar, the 2014 white paper on sports. As far as mismanagement within the Football Association is concerned, my understanding is that the Football Association, by FIFA rules, by all the rules, is supposed to be an independent organization, and that those who are involved in football administration in the country will deal with issues of mismanagement, if mismanagement there is. I don't believe it's in an area where the government should intervene to sort things out, if things need to be sorted out. Those in the industry, those in the sector, those in football are the ones who are meant to deal with football issues. And my understanding is that is a basic rule that FIFA is very, very, very insistent on, that there should be no executive interference in the administration of football anywhere. The output of the sports minister, so far so good as far as I'm concerned. If your if your view is different, well, for the time being, on his retention in office, is my view that matters. I think that the international standing status of Ghana, which has drawn so many people here in this last year, I see it as a reflection of two things. First of all, as the world commending the Ghanaian people for staying the course as far as democratic engagement is concerned, that election after election, we're able to go through the process and find peaceful ways of resolving if there are any disputes, and go through the process in a peaceful and an acceptable manner, and that we ourselves accept the changes of government that have come upon us, that we have willed for, and continue to organize our state on a unified, open, democratic base. I think that is something that is to the credit of the Ghanaian people. I don't believe that is the credit to the government of the day, but so much as to the people of Ghana for being able, despite the volatility and the turbulence in the area in which we live, to maintain focus on our democratic engagement. And secondly, there I think the government comes in. Many of the things that we have said we want to do and are doing are obviously striking a chord with many people. The other day I was in Takoradi to open Twyford Ceramics Limited, which is owned by people from China. It was interesting to hear the comment of the Chinese owners and proprietors saying that they were particularly excited by the one district, one factory concept and policy, because for them, that is at the heart of how China has transformed itself in the last 30, 40 years. The basis for rural industrialization, which is really what has brought China to where it is today. So I think that at the same time, some of the things that we say we are doing, we want to do, is striking a positive chord. And that is, I think those are the two phenomena that are coming together to bring so many people here. I think also, well, I don't know, the Macron interview has always taken on a different dimension. I'm not sure whether that is an attractive thing or something that will tell people when they come and they see President talking the way I did. But I think that it is. And at the end of the day, there's a part of it. You mentioned Qatar. There's a part of it, I think, that we in Ghana also have to take seriously, and that is the fact that we have friends from different parts of the world, from different political and economic, social systems. But we continue to want to chart our own path. We want to continue to determine matters of friendship on our own terms. And that sense of sovereignty, that sense of independence, is also, I think, an attractive concept about Ghanaians. And it is something that we should hold on to very, very strongly, that we will judge matters, whether they are international or domestic, continental, regional, on their own merits, and decide for ourselves at any one time what is the Ghanaian interest, how do we assess, and not necessarily because a particular big power or whatever will prod us to say do this and do that. I think that too is something that a lot of people are finding very engaging about our country. So,
please, this time I'll do print media. It looks like I've forgotten print media. I'll take Crusading Guide, Techi Bwedu from Daily Guide. Daily Graphic, who is from the Daily Graphic?
It's Kwesi Pratt. He's also here. Kwesi Pratt. If you don't allow him to say, he will say that he will say you are deliberately discriminating against
My name is Gordon Asaribidiako from the New Crusading Guide. Happy New Year, Mr. President.
Thank you.
We are in the 25th year of the Fourth Republic. And 2012-2013, you led the MPP to the Supreme Court, the petition. I would like to find out whether the live coverage, the outcome, and then the immediate concession or the acceptance of the ruling is a major hallmark of the 25th anniversary of the Fourth Republic.
So please, I'm sorry, you have posed that question again. I want to understand from you.
What I'm saying is that we are in the 25th year of the Fourth Republic. In 2012-2013, you and two others went to the Supreme Court to petition against the election. And then there was a live broadcast, the ruling came, and it immediately accepted it. I'd like to find out whether you deem that one, at least the three, the petition, the live broadcast, and then the acceptance, as one of the major hallmarks of the Fourth Republic. Please, are you clear now?
I'm clear.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. My name is Charles Techibu-Addo. I write for the Daily Guide newspaper. Mr. President, some still feel unsatisfied about your quest to fight corruption. How do you convince such people that your quest to fight corruption is genuine? Thank you very much.
And then I said Daily Graphic.
Mr. President, my name is Victor Kwakumi, the Daily Graphic. My question is, the government in 2015 bought back the majority shares of PSC, Temashipia, from the Malaysians and subsequently handed it over to Gapua. However, the legal titles to cement the transfer have still not been done. When is government hoping to do the transfer so that Gapua can take full control of the facility? Thank you.
Obviously, as one of the principal figures, the first plaintiff in the election petition, I would like to believe that many of the things, good things that are part of the Fourth Republic have connection with it. Certainly, the broadcast, as far as our party is concerned, helped, because it exposed for us many of the difficulties and the deficiencies of the electoral system, which we needed to address if we were going to be able to win elections in Ghana. And I think that the broadcast did that more than anything that any one individual could say, in terms of also energizing the base of the new patriotic party about the task ahead of it for 2016. So, to the extent that the broadcast helped cement, in my view, the democracy in our country, definitely I think it's an important feature of the Fourth Republic. And as always, I mean, when institutions that have been shrouded in some degree of not so much secrecy, but considered confidential, courts, people don't really see what's going on there and everything. That was also a salutary decision of the Chief Justice at the time, to opening up the courts for public scrutiny and view, so that people can see exactly how this very important institution in our country works. I believe also that was an important part of cementing the support for the rule of law. The acceptance was mandated by the circumstances. I mean, there were one or two people who were saying that we should still go for a review, but I felt that at the end of the day, the stability of the country mattered more than the political fortunes of the MPP, my assessment. that was really, at the end of the day, when the verdict had been pronounced, we should move on. We are talking about building a country on the basis of the rule of law. That's exactly what it means, the rule of law, that when the judges pronounce it, you accept it. If you don't like it, if there's an avenue to appeal it, you appeal it. If you don't exercise that power, it means you've accepted it. But the rule of law doesn't mean that every time the judges have to rule in your favor. And that's somewhere that some people like to think that is what the rule of law means, that you have to win every time. It cannot mean that. It means sometimes you can lose, and yet you're bound to accept it. And I think that if that gesture has also helped consolidate the principles on which the Fourth Republic was founded, to me, then it's a positive thing. What do I need to fight corruption to convince people? Well, I think the presentation I made, I've already indicated some. In fact, I think that the position that I've taken is potentially quite could lead me into a lot of problems, which is to say that any allegation that is made against any appointee of mine will be investigated. And that opens you up to having to investigate even the flimsiest and irresponsible allegations that are made. And you can find I don't know whether it's appropriate for me to comment, but like, for instance, what is going on in the Parliament now? The whole of a Parliament is being recalled, and all the machinery of Parliament cranked up to look into this cash was, I don't know. The main figure, I'm showing this as an example, the main figure in the one who won the award. I'm showing this to indicate how also this issue of investigating everything can sometimes lead to the person who won the expatriate for the business person has been a client of mine for over 35, nearly 40 years. His father was a good friend of my own father, and he himself has become a very close personal friend of mine. I've known him, and I eat in his house. He eats in my house. He has my telephone number. I have his. Even since I became president, I've eaten in his house a couple of times. He's also been to my house. One of the reasons I've eaten in his house is that he lays the best Lebanese food in Accra, and I love Lebanese food. So anybody who invites me to Lebanese food, I go. He happens to be. And this, now, I'd be amazed if somebody like that, Said Fakhri, will think that he needs to pay money to come and sit next to me. This is a man who can get me on the telephone anytime of his choosing, who sees me, who comes to my house, and whose house I go to. But nevertheless, the accusation has been made, so it is being investigated. I see part of the problem I have in this very broad commitment that I have made can sometimes, but the genuineness, always the proof of the pudding is in the eating. We will see how the special prosecutor conducts himself. We will see whether investigations that are mounted and serious charges against people whom I have appointed, whether they are brushed under the carpet, or all of these things are matters that will unfold. And I think it's in an area whereby actions will speak louder than words. Transfer of the title of to Gapoha of Tema Shipyard. I was under the impression that the title of the transfer had been completed, because I know that Gapoha is in negotiations right now with people to join up for an investor to take over. But I don't know, the transport minister where is he? Yeah. Can you tell us something on this matter?
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. President. Mr. President, government shares in this country are in the hands of the Ministry of Finance. It is true that the previous government took a decision that the shares or the PSC should go back to GPHA. When we came to office, we realized that there were a lot of information that the Ministry of Finance were not in there. Those information were not in the hands of the Ministry of Finance. So we made a transactional advisor, and we are almost in the process of completing it. And I'm sure in about a month or 3 weeks ago, those shares will be transferred to the Ministry onward ownership of Ministry of GPHA. Then government is in the process of looking for strategic investor. Then we may go ahead with it. So the Minister of Finance is almost completed the process of the transactional advisor to transfer the shares to GPHA. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we have just about 10 minutes to go. I'm going to take 3 senior journalists who are here. Kwesi Pratt, Ebo Kwansa, Cameron Dodo. You are from, I'll take women from other next. Yeah, so I'll move you.
Your Excellency, Mr. President.
Yes.
I'd like to find out how you could have come to the conclusion that the Ministry of Trade has been cleared of the extortion allegations which were made, frivolous or otherwise, when indeed the parliamentary committee has just begun its work. What's the basis of your conviction that the ministry has been cleared of the allegations? And Mr. President, if you would indulge me, I'd like to add half a question. Just half a question, Mr. President.
Go ahead.
Can I go ahead? Yeah, Mr. President, what is the status of the Guantanamo Bay detainees who were exported to Ghana in the light of the agreement that the Ghana government had with the United States of America? What is the current status, Mr. President? Thank you very much.
Mr. President, at the time we were fighting for independence, we were made to seek ye first the political kingdom. Unfortunately, all the others that were supposed to be added were not added. The NDC came with a policy of Vision 2020. I think it's just about 2 years to the 2020. I haven't seen anything. You've come out recently with Ghana Beyond 8. For me, it's music in my ears, but I do not know how we are going to reach that Ghana Beyond 8. So I want you to walk this issue through with Ghanaians so that every Ghanaian will understand and comprehend how we will get there. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I was very pleased to hear you say that you hope the appointment of the special prosecutor will send the fear of God into corrupt people. But I think, Your Excellency, that corruption is defined too narrowly, especially in the Act. If you look at how Galamsey operates, there must be a lot of corruption in it that is hidden. How do the excavators get through the ports? Who imports them? Who are not road contractors? How do the excavators get across our roads into the bush when we have so many police checkpoints in the country? You just said that Dubai imports $7 billion of gold from Ghana, and our books show that only $2 billion is produced. Money laundering is involved, and most probably corruption. So I think the country will owe you a great debt of gratitude if you could expand the functions of the special prosecutor to include looking into how Galamsey is assisted by corruption. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Is that it? When the alleged scandal, cash for seats scandal hit, I asked the Minister of Trade to give me an explanation to respond to the allegation that had been made in the public space. I was there at the occasion, and nobody had made me aware that there was anything like people buying money to sit next to me or anything. So it came as a surprise to me. And I asked for an explanation from him, and he gave me a full account of the process that had been undertaken, the monies that had been paid, the use of the monies, and I mean a full accounting. I looked at it, I examined it with others, and was satisfied that it had responded to the allegation that had been made. And I believe the statement he made to me is the very same statement that he made to the committee. And it has been supported by virtually everybody who was involved in the organization of the event. So I believe that I was on firm ground in saying to myself that yes, an allegation has been made, it has been looked into, queries that I put on the matter have been responded to, and I'm satisfied with the quality of the responses that I have got. The fact that there is a public inquiry in itself, to me, does not shake my own conviction that there was nothing untoward had taken place. And that is the reason why I took the position that I did. I took that position before the inquiry was launched. At the time when the parliamentary process was going on, there was a lot of talk about the procedures that the minority had taken, or defects in it and flaws in it and everything. But at the end of the day, I supported the decision taken by the Speaker that come what may, the inquiry should be launched so that there can be no question that anybody is attempting to cover up anything, and people can see in the bright light of day there on television exactly what took place and make up for themselves their own mind whether or not something had gone wrong. And I believe that is the way we should go in this country. It's the second time it has happened, as I say. In the years before, every effort to get government to crank up the parliamentary machinery to investigate Suba, Jida, Boo, it is that, all fell flat. In some cases, the Speaker didn't even allow those motions to hit the floor, let alone to be debated. I think there's a big improvement on that atmosphere and the way in which some of these things are now being handled. And I'm satisfied about it. I don't have any difficulty. To get more detainees, the period is up. A decision has to be made and that decision is under active, right? We need to be able to say something to the Parliament when it resumes because the period under which the agreement was brought has come to an end. We have to decide whether or not we're going to grant them permission to stay, whether we're going to make arrangements for them to go somewhere else. All those things are being actively examined as we sit. But I'm fully aware that a decision on them has to be made, and it cannot be made in 6 months or 5 months. It has to be made now. Ghana Beyond Aid. I'm hoping that by the time of the message that I have to give to the State of the Nation in February is there, we'll have a complete program of the steps that I believe need to be taken for us to reach the target of Ghana Beyond Aid. What are the steps that we need to take across our society and government? The measures that we need to take to ramp up mobilization of revenue on our part, seal blockages, create the institutional framework that allows us to be able to make our own decisions and not depend on foreign bureaucracies and foreign governments to tell us what to do in X area or Y area. All those are part and parcel of the compendium of things that we need to do to be able to say, these are the steps, but those steps are going to have to be made public. You can't make a commitment like I've made and just leave it in the air. I'm fully aware of that, and that will be very soon, very coming. Ms. Adodo, the expanding the capacity of the special prosecutor, I think it's being forgotten with the existence of the special prosecutor, that already we have in place existing institutions. There's an Attorney General in the Ministry of Justice, there's EYOCO, there are all kinds of institutions already in place that are there to administer the criminal law of our country. All the things that you're saying, in fact, including even corruption itself, are part of the normal criminal law of Ghana. But there has been in recent times a sense that particular groups of people are being favored by the law, by the institutional arrangements that have been made, especially about people, politically exposed persons and public officials. And that is why this particular new institution is being created, to respond to that demand. I think what you should ask for is that we strengthen the capacity of the institutions that we have to deal with these matters. And I'm fully in favor of that approach. We have begun to try and get them more money. We will get more and more money into the system, and with that also recruit better and more people to be able for them to be able to do their work more effectively than has been done the case so far. But I think we have to be careful about a situation whereby you expand the special prosecutor's office and powers so that it becomes, if you like, a rival to the Ministry of Justice and all the other institutions that are already on the ground. I mean, that's a duplication that I don't think we need. Thank you.
Mr. President, I'm going to take 5 questions and then we close. And so my promise to balance gender has not been met yet. So this time I want women only to raise their hands, and I'll take 3 women. 1 woman, 2 women, 3 women. So that will be 3 for the women. So when that balances the gender, I'll take GBC, City FM. 2, and then 1 foreign media, and then
we'll be here forever the way we're going.
Mr. President, my name is Kemini Amano. I work for GH1 Television. I'd like to know, how many jobs did your administration create, directly, indirectly, permanent or otherwise, over the past year? Now, respectfully, while you're at it, do tell us, how does that measure on unemployment in the country?
My name is Annie Ampofo, and I represent Group Indo Media. Mr. President, thank you for the opportunity, and I want to commend the hard work that you have put in Galamsey fight, because it has really yielded results. Mr. President, my question, and I want to refer to the question on Ghana Beyond Aid. Because we don't know, or we don't have a vision of where Ghana wants to be in the long term, when policies are introduced by political parties, a lot of questions are raised about them. All the sectors have their own plans, but we don't have a vision as to where they rise to. The US President have made very derogatory comments about us. People were up in arms, but I must say it's rather a painful truth because of the way we do our things. Mr. President, the question I want to ask is, when are we having a national plan? Thank you.
Hello, Mr. President. I must say you're looking really cool and fresh.
Oh.
Well, I needed to catch your attention, so I did. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Ayram Bashan. I'm the Group News Manager for EIB Network. When you took office, you swiftly threw your weight behind the fight against illegal mining, even though it has stayed with us for as long as we could remember. But for you, it was such a big deal because of the devastation to our environment, but beyond that, to the mining sector. And we have seen that when it mattered to the president, we saw gargantuan results. It was telling. I want to also implore you or to crave your indulgence and to plead of you that this same passion and commitment that you threw behind the illegal galamsey, is it possible to direct it towards the lawlessness that we're seeing creeping into our society by the name of vigilante groups? Especially because I know I've been following you since I was a junior journalist. You are a great advocate when it comes to law and order. It can't happen under your watch. It has a great potential of denting your legacy, and it shouldn't happen. And so we've heard you say that let's allow the the security agencies to work. But we also realize that they're overwhelmed. Maybe they need the same rhetoric that you have given and the support you have given to the illegal mining sector to be seen also directed towards the vigilantes menace, so that we will be able to reduce the negative, what would you call it, attention being given to the country within and without. Thank you.
Mr. President, my name is Nanesi Boatin. I do the Maritime and Port News on Oman FM, and therefore I speak for the Maritime and Port News, I mean the stakeholders in the Maritime and Port News industry, the port industry. Last year, the budget came out with some tax cuts that brought jubilation to Ghanaians, especially importers, and of course the Abosokai spare parts dealers. This year, they are calling on you to intervene on what they call huge duties at the ports, and as a result of the imposition of the benchmark value by GRA. On the other hand, reports from GRA this year indicates that last year they were able to exceed their target in terms of revenue collection. So it means that, in other words, they are doing well. Leakages are being blocked at the ports. Now, government is receiving monies due him. My question is, how are you going to juxtapose the two? Having your government being able to collect the right revenue for you to be able to work with it, and also putting smiles back on the faces of the importers, especially the spare part dealers at Abosokai. Thank you.
That's three, right? Please let Mr. President answer, and then we take this last three.
It's four. The statistics on the jobs, I think, as we all to forget, I'm barely 1 year in office. Some of these statistics are being collected as we speak now. So the labor statistics as to the amount of jobs that have been created, those are not statistics that are at hand anywhere, even for me, for the government. I believe that they are in the process of being assembled. So perhaps in 2 or 3 months' time, we'll be in a position to answer that question in a more effective manner. But we have a national plan, and apart from that, there's the various administrations have also come up with plans. So I don't think it's true to say that the decisions that are taken without reference to a plan. There isn't. There was the 2020 plan. There's the 2030. All those plans are in place. And perhaps you're not seeing the connection between them and the specific decisions that are being taken. Well, that's maybe it's a communication matter, not so much that there is no benchmark against which it is. But I think specifically on the issue of Ghana Beyond Aid, as I said in my answer to Bokwanza, I think that the importance that this administration is placing to that concept requires that a specific program of action be laid out before the Ghanaian people, and it will be laid very, very soon, to see specifically the steps that are required today, how we can reduce our dependence in our education and health budgets on foreign taxpayers' monies. All of those are things that we need to have concretized and spelt out in detail before the country. It will be done. The passion against vigilantes, that passion, I share it. I'm as appalled as you are by that phenomenon. But you made a point which I think is also worth bearing in mind, how the security agencies are overwhelmed. I think one of the things that we are determined to do, which we have started doing, is to strengthen the security agencies in the country, both in terms of personnel as well as in equipment and logistics. The other day I launched a program to revive Operation Calm Life, to give the police greater and greater capability to deal with armed robbery and the rest. I believe that it's all part and parcel of the same phenomenon, strengthening the law enforcement agencies in such a way that they can deal with this phenomenon. My legacy, we'll see about the legacy. The legacy is for people when they retire. I'm more concerned about what we need to do now to make sure that our country has law and order. I think that is really a concern of all of us. And the vigilante phenomenon is as distasteful to me as it is to the rest. But we can deal with it. First of all, there's exhortation, but ultimately it's strengthening the law enforcement agencies to be able to do it. And also, of course, generally improving the access to jobs for a lot of young people would be definitely a process that will help in that exercise. This difficult issue between the mobilization of revenue and the position of special interest groups in the economic system is a difficult question. But I'll be surprised if indeed the fiscal reforms that the administration has spearheaded so far were intended to impose additional burdens on. I think this whole business of the benchmark values is something that the Ministry of Trade is looking at to be able to. Ministry of Finance is looking at to see how it reconciles and with the aims of the budget and the tax measures that we have taken. But it will always be a difficult balance that you have to strike. What you need to do to be able to stimulate, putting smiles on the face of people. I think about how you can stimulate economic activity and make people more competitive, and at the same time have the revenue that the state requires to be able to carry out its functions. It's a difficult balance, but it is one that we need to strike. And this particular issue about the benchmark values that the customs apply is one that is in active consideration.
Yeah, Mr. President, this is the last batch of questions. I'm very sorry we've been sitting here for nearly 2 hours. It's not possible to take everybody's question. So I'll just take GBC. This is Reuters. Where? Bloomberg. So international media, City FM. We haven't taken anybody from Ashanti. So I'll take King Edward from Ashanti and then we close. Ashanti will close. King Edward, please finish. That's it. We are done. I'm sorry. Let's go.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Abdul Hai Mumin. I work with the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation. I take it that given the size of the economy, you couldn't have addressed all issues in your opening statements. And so I take it that the issues you raised are on your priority list. However, there's one issue I find not addressed in your address, which I think without it can bring every plan of yours to naught. It's this issue of security. In 2014, a young man known as Alema was alleged to have joined ISIS. In fact, his family confirmed that story. In 2016, security experts revealed on GBC 24, in fact, he showed us evidence of how some members of ISIS were getting in touch with young Ghanaians. Just a couple of days ago, the Ghanaian police arrested some persons with 7 grenades. you didn't address that, Mr. President. How safe are Ghanaians under your watch? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I remember the Vice President said, and I said many times, that we are building a modern formal economy premised on national ID, digital address, and mobile payment interoperability. And in February 2017, in your State of the Nation address, you said, and I quote, "The process for a comprehensive national ID system and a property titling system will be completed this year." When we met here in July 2017, you repeated, "The national identification scheme will be working by the end of the year, as promised, and the digital address system will be functioning," end of quote. So, 2 weeks into January, what is the state of the national ID and the mobile payment interoperability system? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Echo Moses. Bear with me, have a cold. I report for Bloomberg News. In 2011, when oil revenue started hitting our accounts, we started recording strong growth of as much as 14%. Then the then government started doing some high expenditure projects. A few years down the line, growth was around 3.6%, and we needed an IMF bailout. Your government has come into power at a time where additional oil fields are bringing in extra revenues. And to match it, you have 1 million for every district, you have free SHS, and what have you. Mr. President, are you not over-mortgaging our future? Are you not putting us at a risk of going back to the IMF a few years down the line? Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is King Edwin.
That's King Edwin. Yes, and that is the last question.
Thank you very much, Mr.
I insist.
My name is King Edwin. I work for Hello FM. My question is, this Fulani Akoko Afram Plains issue that crops up every year, and whenever it does, we adopt some firefighting approach to kill it. It's on again. Mr. President, how will you assure us, or are we safe that this thing we are going to see an end of it? Thank you very much.
Terrorism, I think my understanding is, and I think that's the reality for all of us, is something that is menacing all the countries of the world. We've known about outbreaks of terrorism in places far away, but also places very close to us. In Cote d'Ivoire, we saw the effort in Bassam. We've seen the outbreak of terrorist incidents in Burkina Faso. We know also about the movement of jihadist forces in northern Mali and in the Sahel region. Ghana, in principle, cannot be exempt as a potential target. So the security preparedness of our country is an extremely important matter. I can hope that the efforts that are being made by the security agencies to keep a tag on potential targets, potential authors of terrorism, like, for instance, the arrests that have been made, that the security agencies in our country continue to show that level of alertedness that would enable them to nip some of these things in the bud. But I think that as far as our state is compared, especially to many of the states in our region, so far so good on our part. But it is an area where we can never ever let our guards down, and we will have to continue to do all those things, sharing intelligence with others, beefing up our own capability. Also, of course, dealing with some of the more long-term causes in terms of, once again, economic development, employment of young people, rather than having a lot of idle young people on our hands. It's a comprehensive approach that we have to make. But I think that Ghana is is stable, Ghana is secure, Ghana is safe, and I'm certainly going to do everything I can to make sure that image, that reality of Ghana continues. The equipment, the logistics of resources that the agencies need to work with, we're doing our best to make sure that they have it, and generally sharpen their capability. But I think that the effort that the police have mounted in the last few days shows that they are indeed on the alert and that they are capable of giving us the protection that we all seek. Unfortunately, with the national ID system, which is delayed, the law under which the program was going to be unveiled was at the last minute subjected to another review and found to be inadequate. So a new LI, because the process has to take place and be implemented under an enabling law. A new LI is ready for submission to Parliament when Parliament reassembles on the 23rd, and after the 21 days working period is over, it will be ready to go into motion. But it is certainly not on the back burner because it's such an important aspect of our own overall strategy for going forward. The Fulani menace. Oh no, Bloomberg. We're not mortgaging the future. No, I don't think we're mortgaging the future at all. And the recourse to the IMF. My own view is that if there had been more discipline in the management of the public finances, we would not have had to recourse to the IMF in 2013 like we did. So it's an important aspect of it, is the discipline that you, government, and the people of the country are prepared to undergo will be, and that will be the best indication as to your capacity to continue to keep your ship afloat, or whether you need to rush to Washington for a bailout. For me, that discipline is nothing that the IMF has to teach us about. We're capable of imposing that discipline on ourselves and making sure that the commitments, I think I've outlined fairly clearly the various strands of policy that has been brought together this year, which has brought our economy to the more satisfactory position that it is now. A large part of it is the monetary and fiscal discipline that this government has been able to exhibit. And that will continue, because that is the only way in which, in fact, these additional expenditures that are important to be made for the development of the country do not themselves destabilize our economic system. The Fulani menace, yes, the time has come for an attempt at a comprehensive policy to deal with it. I remember very well in President Kufuor's time, his cabinet spent many hours agonizing on what to do about the Fulani menace. And some things were put in place. One of them were to establish these kraals, cattle ranches, across the country, which would allow the cattle to be able to be not quarantined, but at least shepherded and contained in places where you can identify and hold them. The ranches and the kraals that were initially developed or abandoned, they all fall into disuse. We're actively, as we're speaking now, restoring one in the Afram Plains in the Kwaru area, and there's a proposal to set up a couple of others in Ashanti and in the eastern region, which have been the source of most of the movement of because they're the green areas of the country. But yes, it is important that we devise a comprehensive proposal to be able to deal with the matter, not just the firefighting as you're talking about. But it is important that once you're devising methods of how the cattle can be maintained and properly quarantined and looked after, that also the pure law and order measures that need to be taken to prevent violence, to make sure that the herdsmen behave within the context of the law in Ghana. We cannot overlook that, and that will have to continue until we get from them consistently behavior that it goes along with respecting the laws of the country. But there are matters which we all need to look at. I mean, if you have a very effective system of ranching across the country, are you thereby also inviting all the cattle of West Africa to head towards Ghana? Because you have a system that perhaps, I mean, these are, and it's part of the thinking that is going on to be able for us to find a solution. So, yes, I agreed. It is time for us to be able to unveil a comprehensive resolution of this matter and not to continue just to depend on the law enforcement aspect of it, but to deal in a more holistic manner with the issue of these cattle that are ranging across various parts of our country. My understanding is that the Sahindran is now complete. We will spend some more time in the course of the year. I'm hoping that at the very least in another 6 months you have an opportunity to come here for us to see how the Akufo-Addo administration is doing in your eyes, and what are the problems that confront our country and what we need to do together. But I think it's important for us, for you also, to have from me a clear sense of the role that I think that you should play, and it is a very positive role. I'm seeing in the Ghanaian media this constant engagement about issues of public concern and the determination to exact from us who have been given the privilege of executive authority accountability. And I think that that is the way it should be. And I am fully in support of that process. And long may it continue. So thank you very much indeed for this morning, and we'll be meeting again soon.
We are very grateful. Please, we would have a closing prayer, and then the national anthem will be played. That will be the end of the matter, and then there will be snacks and refreshments after. So let's pray. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, praise be to Allah, Lord of the worlds, Master of the Day of Judgment. You alone we worship, you alone we ask for help. Guide us onto the straight path, the path of those on whom you have bestowed your favor, not of those who go astray, nor of those who earn your anger. We thank you for the life of our country, for our democracy, for the peace that we enjoy in our nation. We pray for wisdom, for strength, for the President of the Republic, his vice, his ministers and state actors, and also the media, that we may all continue to keep watch, even as we acknowledge that we keep watch in vain if you do not keep watch. In your mighty name we have prayed. Amen. All the media men should stay in the hall for the refreshments, please.
Welcome to JBC 24 TV Government TV live on Flagstaff House. today and the response of the president?
See, what we witnessed here tells us that there is no substitute for democracy. When Jerry Rawlings was in power for 11 and a half years, he never met the media like this. Even after, the handover, he never met the media like this, you see. Democracy tells us that the president should account to the people. And we are not parliamentarians, but we represent the people, in the sense that we carry the message of the government to the people and from the people to the government. So what has happened here is in fulfillment of the governance system that democracy brings about. And I'm happy that the whole cross-section of the media has come. Usually it usually have been that of Accra, media of Accra. But this time around, we had media from all the regions. And I think it is a very progressive sign.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Marconi, please. You're on GTV. You're welcome. You heard the president. Listening to him, were you satisfied with some of the questions, the answers he gave to the media?
Well, my only problem was that we couldn't have a follow-up question because of the structure. The structure makes it difficult for us to not have a follow-up question. But there's one concern that I want to share. You realize that last year, the president thanked the media. This year, too, he's thanked the media for having assisted him in terms of fighting of the galamsey. But in terms of what he wants to do for the media, that didn't come out. I want the president to come out to say that, look, I want to do this for the media. You realize that the past government set up something they call media fund, but unfortunately that was not well handled. I don't know what he has for the media in terms, because we as the media, we also have a lot of areas that we need to improve on, and we believe that we need a state also to assist it so that we can execute our work well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have with me